Ooh, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're just going to talk about the price of travel in 2022 and beyond. And I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself first, since this will probably go on my YouTube channel first.
Okay. Well, oh my gosh. Hi, I'm Dina Farmer, and I'm the owner of Lily and Magnolia Travel. And I am a full service travel agency that helps families and families with autistic children and autistic individuals, I guess now, because I've been booking that, travel the world. Yeah, and I've been in the business for 3 years, and I met Amy because we both love to book Hawaii, but just different target demographics.
And we got into the business around the same time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was just the same
You're
year.
a little bit before me, just
Just a few
same
months.
year though.
Yeah.
Same year, 2018. So, and yeah, and if anybody watching this who doesn't know who I am, my name is Amy, and I'm a travel advisor, but also a travel blogger. And then on YouTube, which is probably where this is going to be, I also share some general entrepreneurial trip tips, and Dina's elevator pitch is much better than mine.
Oh.
Work on it. We'll work on it.
We'll
I
work
don't
on
know where exactly this is going to go. So like YouTube, yeah, but maybe, I don't know, where else can you share it? So we'll just see. But yeah, so we'll just get right into it since we're on a limited amount.
Yeah.
So travel in 2022, the cost of travel in 2022. We've been talking about this a lot lately.
Yeah.
Why we decided to do this video, because there's some overlap in what we do, but not a lot. Like we both book Hawaii, but generally for totally different demographics. So because I'm mostly weddings, honeymoons, destination weddings and honeymoons, and then some group trips, but primarily romance travel, I guess is what we could call it.
Right.
I don't like that term, but let's, for the purpose,
for all intents and purposes,
yeah, we'll call it romance travel. But I've just had a lot of people come to me lately, especially, and I noticed this, people who booked with me before coming back, right, and they're like, whoa, what happened? Because and I'm sure you are dealing with the same situation. There have been people who canceled, back in 2020 or whenever. And then now they're coming back and they're like, okay, we're ready to do this trip now. And then it's like, okay, well,
travel has gone up.
So, and I guess maybe we can talk about what exactly has gone up, and just if you want to start, like, what is your experience been so far with the price of travel?
Well, I think that a lot of people are coming into it thinking like, oh, this is 2019 prices, or like this before the pandemic started, like 2020 prices. So I can easily get a trip to Hawaii for like $5,000 for a family of 4. And that's back then totally possible. Yeah, maybe. Depends on where you're going. We always make a joke of like, do you want to camp?
Yeah,
especially now.
I say that on my blog all the time. I'm like, well, do you want to get flights over there and then camp and fish?
Because that's what you're going to be doing.
Scale a tree, forage for wild bananas.
For real, because that's just your flights alone. And I recently had someone that wanted to go to the Big Island for a family of 5, and they're like, oh, I want to do it for $5,000 for 2 weeks. And I was like, no.
And I think it's maybe important to mention the Big Island is probably the most affordable island to visit with a family.
Right.
But still,
not for 2 weeks. No.
I mean, because depending on where you're flying from, you could be looking at $500 to $1,000 in flights alone
per person. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that could be, I had a similar experience, but it was a honeymoon, but they were looking for like super high-end luxury, and their budget was like $4,000, and they wanted to fly first class. I mean, you can't even fly 2 people first class to Hawaii.
No,
because first class tickets are often $2,000 or $3,000 alone. So, but even regular flights are not inexpensive anymore. And I think a lot of people expect that they are, and they're not, and they're harder to find.
I mean, honestly, They are. And I feel like that's the big thing too, that's happening, especially like with the first class tickets, they're harder to find, but also it's easy to find the economy flights or like basic economy flights, but those basic economy flights are not 2019 and 2020 prices. Cause I literally just quoted somebody $2,500 on Spirit
Oh,
to fly 2 hours. So it's like, this is not budget anymore. And there's just, you really have to start thinking about like planning further out in advance. And I know with like the pandemic, people kind of get hesitant with it, but it's like, you have to plan out further so that you can budget for your trip, because it's not like I'm just going to jump on a plane tomorrow and go
right.
anymore,
And get
you
travel
know?
Yes.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
you're not getting travel insurance after everything that's happened in the last 2 years, like
That's a big
why,
problem. Right.
why not? Because it's generally not terribly expensive, especially if you do like a future travel credit kind of
Mhm.
insurance. I mean, for me, for what I book, and like I said, it's mostly, I would say, mid to high end honeymoons and things like that. But I mean, typically people are only paying $100 to $200 a piece for this
Right.
insurance. So that if it's a $10,000 trip, that's just kind of a no-brainer to me.
Same. I just
There's
feel
no
like,
guarantee. If you are buying a non-refundable hotel or something like that, they don't have to give you your money back. A lot of
right.
times they didn't.
And they still don't, even with
Mhm.
tickets too, like they still don't give you your money back anymore. This,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's kind of tough to even find non-refundable tickets.
Yeah, it
No.
can be. Yeah. And I mean, you can always get credit, but
Hmm.
that's for flights. We're not necessarily talking about other things. So
Right.
it's really complicated. Basically, the best thing you can do is obviously get travel insurance. And then, like you were saying, book in advance, obviously, because
Right.
a last minute trip is going to be so expensive. So
Yeah.
I was looking at flights out of, it was for someone else, but it was out of my airport that I frequently fly out of. And a few years ago, you could get flights to Hawaii for $500, $600, maybe seven,
Mm,
as a like a kind of last minute thing, but $500 or $600. And this was not super last minute, but a few weeks out. And I think their flights were over $1,000 a piece.
I'm sorry. Notifications on my computer right now.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, but not, I don't know.
And they were just economy flights that I was looking at. So nothing, no exit
Ridiculous.
row.
Yeah. Right. Super bougie, right? Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, not business class, not exit row, just like a regular seat where you could be sitting in between two people.
Right. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. But then like on the flip side, there's like ways that you can do things economically. But again, I feel like you really have to book stuff in advance. Cause I just quoted someone $1,300 to Mexico or Cancun. I mean, it is
Mhm.
in Mexico,
Yeah,
and they were coming out of Newark, and I mean, I was amazed that I got them at $1,300, but it was still like,
I'm amazed too.
I know, pat myself on the back and all inclusive and everything. But the problem is they really needed to like act upon that price as well, rather than sit and marinate on
Yes,
it.
yes, because nothing is guaranteed until you put
Mm-mm.
names on a booking, hold it, put a deposit down, whatever, nothing is guaranteed. So if we are sending people these quotes and it's a really good
Mhm.
deal, you better jump on it because
Right.
it's not likely to last.
No. And I mean, I looked again after they had said, oh, we're going to do a road trip. And then now they're changing their mind. I'm like, well, now it's 2000.
Yeah. Oh, and
So
because it was a steal finding it for
yeah.
1,500. And
Hmm.
that's another thing, because I do book Cancun as well, and Caribbean stuff. Because, well, Hawaii was closed down for so long, I started kind
Right.
of expanding, and now I really love booking those destinations. But a lot of people will think, oh, if we just have a little bit of money, we can go to Mexico. That's not necessarily the case anymore,
No, it's not.
especially if you're wanting to stay at a really nice place.
Hmm.
It's, I mean, sometimes you're looking at $3,000 or $4,000, depending on how long you're going to stay, just to go to Mexico.
Right. And the
Because
amount of people too.
yeah, and the just for example, the resort that I really like a lot, the Zilara in Cancun, I love that. I've been going now for a while, and they were around I think it was around 400 a night, which is pretty reasonable. It's like a 5-star, it's a nice place, good food. But now I was looking, and I think they start in the 600s. per night. So
Yeah, it's just,
big,
yeah,
big, big jump. And of course, that's going to depend on the time of the year. And if you book in advance, it's going to be better. I've been talking about sandals a lot lately, and
right.
sandals, the prices booking in advance versus kind of last minute are crazy different. I just booked a sandals trip for November 2023, and they got a great deal because it's so far out,
Right.
and a lot of people aren't thinking about booking in November 2023 because I don't know what's going to happen then. But you just get the insurance, which Sandals is offering for free right now.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
See?
And if you have to reschedule, you reschedule. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
being flexible is important too. And I
Yeah.
know it's not always possible. And especially with you book family. So they're often having to travel around school holidays. And that's really hard because unfortunately your prices are going to be higher during March when you have spring break or
Right.
around the
April.
holidays,
Yeah.
around Christmas, New Year's,
Yep. In
or the
summer.
There's just going to
Mm-hmm.
be more.
Yep.
And that's the case in Hawaii too, even though I'm mostly booking honeymoons, they're still going to pay more for traveling during those school holidays.
Right. It's true. I mean, because that's when most people can travel,
Mhm.
so that's why I keep saying do it in advance, do it. Cause I have a trip for Universal Studios for family coming up, and they contacted me just Monday, and they want to go in April, and like Cabana Bay, honestly, is one of their most economical resorts. And I
Really?
can't believe that I said $5,000 for a trip there.
I was just looking because I'm going to Universal in a week. And
Right.
I was just looking because I'm thinking of switching one of my hotels for when I'm there. And I accidentally clicked on March instead of February because I'm going in February. So I'm going to miss that
Yeah.
spring break because
Right.
I know, and I work from home and my kids are homeschooled, so we can be flexible, but I understand
Absolutely. Same.
not everyone
We're
can do
blessed in
that.
that. We both
That's not a
homeschool.
possibility, but it is for
Yeah.
me. So I'm going to stay away during
Right.
spring break. But I accidentally was looking at March instead of April, and Cabana Bay was like $400 or something. No,
Yeah.
it was five something for 2 nights, like 526 for 2 nights. That's what it was. But that's a maybe $150 a night hotel for a basic room. I mean,
Right. Right. I mean, absolutely. That's typical for them. But then when you're looking at these holidays, it's like right out the window.
double. Yeah.
Mhm. So I really like to tell my clients too, if it's, I know I'm biased because I'm a homeschooler as well, but like if it's possible, like try to pull your kids out of school. And
yeah, before I'm like, all right, guys, we're going.
Right.
Bye.
You can make up the lessons later. Like,
Mhm.
especially if you have a school
We're
that's
gonna
like
have a
willing to
life
work with you.
lesson.
Yeah.
Traveling's good for you.
It is good
I
for you.
did
It
that
is
when
good
my
for
kids
you.
were in regular school. I just
Yeah.
would do, and I understand not everybody can.
Not everybody can do that. Yeah.
But if you can, it's going to save you some money. So
Oh yeah.
you kind of have to weigh convenience and budget.
Right. Right. Exactly. But I mean, if you have a cool school that like is willing to do that or lets them do school remotely or whatever, then
Yeah,
I would totally
especially
do that.
with remote options, or even a lot of times, you just talk to the teacher and they're going to be like, okay, let me give you the printouts for next week,
Right.
and just
And they
bring
can
it
do
back when
it.
you're done. Yeah.
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 Totally.
A lot
Totally.
of the
Because that
time,
will save you money.
yeah, it'll save you a lot of money. And another thing about flexibility, I was talking about this, I think it was in my email list last week, but if you can be flexible on your dates, you can get some really good deals on
Mhm.
flights. Because I am signed up for Scott's Cheap Flights, and so I get notifications whenever there are inexpensive flights to
Right.
wherever out of my home airport. And I've seen maybe not as many deals as like pre 2020, but lately there's been more and more. They're just really specific. You have to fly on a Wednesday. It has to be during September
Right.
or whatever. But I will put a link wherever I share this. I'll put a link below because they do have a free version as well, and you can get notifications for flights. So if if you just are flexible about where you're going, then you can always use that service and say, oh, there's a great deal to, Puerto Vallarta or whatever, like maybe I'll go there. And then you can call, you or me and we can work out the rest once you get your good deal on your flights.
Exactly. And I feel like I love that tip because I feel like when I do get clients, they just really don't know anything a lot of times, especially when it comes to flights. And I feel like the hotel is almost always cheaper lately than the flight is. And I don't know why that is the case lately for me. That's what I've been experiencing. Like Spirit quoting $2,500 airline tickets. Like that's so crazy. But I feel like if there's something like that, if you signed up for a service like that and then you booked your airline tickets, then it would be easier for me or you.
Yeah,
to
because
book
then
a
you have your
hotel.
pick, like, this is what I'm going, what can we do? And
Yeah.
like I said, I have the paid version of it, but there's a free version and it's totally worth just seeing what's out there, because once you know, when you look at flights and there's that sticker shock, maybe you'll want to go and just be a little more flexible, because a lot of times they are in advance. Like maybe it's 10 months from now, you can get this deal. So that will help you get a better deal on your hotel or your rental car, et cetera, just by booking super far in advance. But now my experience hasn't been that, but again, we often different destinations because most of probably 85 to 90% of what I do is Hawaii. It's so expensive. I don't even know where and it's everything. But I mean, let's talk about why, because you book Hawaii as well. Limited capacity. Hawaii still operates a lot of things at limited capacity. So supply and demand. That's basically, I think, would sum up what this entire video is about, is that people understand that travel is supply and demand. And when supply is lower due to limited capacity and demand is high because the majority of people do want to travel again, not everybody, but a lot of people want to travel again, or at least plan travel for the future.
Prices are going to be
lower
higher.
Supply and more demand. And so, it's more difficult. But in Hawaii, it's, yes, limited capacity. And then let's just use this as an example. I used to book the Andaz in Maui for my honeymoon clients, because for my honeymoon clients who wanted like a really high end, but not completely unattainable. And, let's just say they had $10,000. They could stay there, do their car, do all their other things in that. Now for a week. Now, no way. I mean, and it's not the only one. All these hotels have just raised their rates because why? People are going to pay it because they want to go. And so that's just one that, I mean, their rates are probably 30-40% higher than they were. So not just like a normal yearly slow gradual, but much, much higher. And then cars.
Oh gosh. Didn't I tell you, I quoted you like, where was it? So, or maybe it was you saying it. I don't remember who said it, but me and Amy talk like every single day. But there was someone, I think I quoted them $2,000 for rental car in Maui. And I was just like, for 5 days.
And sometimes I would say, and that's high, but yes, especially if it's last minute, because availability, there just isn't any. It's rough. It's really, you're not going to find a car, and I'm not talking about like a Jeep or a convertible. I'm talking like a car, like a compact car. Yeah. A Chevy Spark. You're not going to find
a Nissan Versa.
You're going to be paying at least $100 a day. Probably more like $200 a day. And if you want a Jeep, if you want an SUV, if you want a premium car, probably another $100 a day. And that's just average booking and ahead of time. You used to be able to get your cars for $40-$50 a day. Not anymore.
No.
And if you're trying to get one last minute, you might not be able to at all.
It's true. And I would love for the pandemic to be over someday, because I know with Oahu and their isn't it a safe travel program now, because you have to show proof of vaccination to get into restaurants and other establishments too. It just makes like everything more challenging, like to get there,
Although I heard, and it was just like a rumor, that they may be scaling back on the safe travels program, but I
just heard the WHO said that they recommended that everybody lifts travel restrictions. I just heard that yesterday. So I'm like,
I heard that too. But it was from the Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii, I think, a few days ago. He said something kind of in passing about safe travels might be over by March. And I was like, but if it is, if it is,
It's still not going to change the price. Yeah, they're going to stay the same.
Worse.
Yeah, you're right.
Worse because there's people that don't want to go through testing on the way, and maybe depending on where you live, maybe testing on the way back, and just all of this other stuff. They don't necessarily want to jump through those hoops. So if they do remove even more restrictions, we're not going to see better prices. We're probably going to see higher prices.
Yeah.
It's going to help capacity, yes, but they're not going to lower their prices.
No.
They're not going to be like,
because the demand is still so high.
The demand is still so high. They're not going to be like, okay, we'll go back to pre-pandemic pricing.
No, because then they won't be able to handle it, at the same time. They couldn't, there would be no way that they could handle that capacity.
Yeah. No.
After it's been so low for so long. There's no way. No way.
Yeah, it's not. So
nope. Even the theme parks, are just ludicrous right now. And so I've had people say, oh, I want to do Disney for $2,500. I'm like, yeah, in 2017, you could have done that, but not now.
And I think a lot of people with the theme parks, they're like, oh, it's not going to be busy.
Right. But it
wasn't busy in 2020.
Right.
I went in 2020. It was great.
Yeah.
Because there was nobody there.
Yeah. I wish I had
nobody. It was amazing. I got really cheap rates. I traveled a lot in 2020 and it was amazing because there was nobody on airplanes.
Right.
Nobody at their, I'm around people less when I'm traveling than I would be at home at the grocery store.
Right. It's true.
The theme parks, when they opened back up, there was nobody there. There was no lines. It was really cheap. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's not the case now at all. No.
The theme parks are full.
No, and there's never a low season or shoulder for theme parks anymore. Especially Universal and Disney. I feel like maybe that little teeny tiny window of August or September, that's pretty much it.
If you can go during the week, it's not too bad. On certain times, I'm going to be February.
That's
not bad. Yeah. And September, not bad. Even early.
But it's still going to be crowded. It's not going to be nobody.
No, it's not going to be walk on every ride. It's not terrible though. It's not terrible. But if you go on the weekend, then all of the locals are there, and so it's crazy busy. But regardless, even if you do find a good time, like I said, I'm going in early February. That's a good time to go during the week. And I'm going to hit right at the beginning of Mardi Gras, which I love. Yeah. And that apparently Mardi Gras is going to be back to its normal state this year.
That's what they said anyway.
So far, starts next weekend.
Yeah.
So hopefully
we shall see.
Well, the only thing they did differently last year is they didn't have a Christmas parade, or
Mardi Gras parade.
They had the float sitting around, but they did have a Christmas parade. So I feel like they'll probably
maybe. Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know, but the theme parks are busy and it's not cheap. And the hotel deals you get at theme parks are gone
completely
before because they were trying to get people in.
Right. Of
course, it was a good deal.
But now, I haven't seen any lately. Not really. Not that I'm
deals.
Yeah.
You could say $10 or whatever. That's not a great deal.
No, it isn't. No, I'm not gonna. And I feel again, it's the whole idea you really have got to plan early in advance. I know we keep saying that over and over. It's it has to be done earlier. I have a client that thankfully we're planning for 2023 right now. And I'm well, now we're going to actually get a better deal because you're planning a year in advance instead of 4 months. That's what my average has been lately.
What the people who are being really smart about this are doing. And I've had several people reach out to me lately for 2023. And I think that's a really good idea because as long as you have insurance, you can change it.
Yep.
And, even with hotels, no matter where you go, there's advanced purchase rates. You're going to get a better deal booking ahead of time. And that might require paying ahead of time too. But
and we're right.
Oh,
what happened
for a second? What'd you say?
Oh no, I said yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that flexibility in your budget to pay ahead of time, you might be able to get a better deal that way too. But if
That's true. I think that's a really good point there.
oh,
Oh.
no, yes,
Can I have a laugh?
yes, shut the door, please.
You're gonna have to edit it. Sorry.
I think he came all the way in.
I only saw his head.
Cut it just a little bit, just
Yeah.
a little. Okay.
Oh,
But,
gosh.
and we do keep saying book in advance, book in advance, book in advance. But I mean, if you really want to get a better deal, that's what you have to do.
Right.
Now, shut your door. No, you can't have the internet now. You gotta wait. Garrett, please shut the door.
Mommy,
Thank you.
mommy,
No,
please,
no, still no.
please,
Garrett, look, I'm on a call. This is very important.
please,
No,
please,
not till I finish this call.
please,
The longer you wait here, the longer it takes.
please,
Shut the door.
please,
Garrett, shut the door.
please.
Shut the door. You're going to be in trouble. Shut the door.
I can sympathize.
Can I watch on Mickey's tablet?
Your downloads?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I get it.
We're just gonna cut all that out
Yeah.
and go back.
It's all good. I think like the biggest thing with like booking in advance, but on top of booking in advance, like you were saying, is also paying in advance, because when you pay in advance, I feel like you also get a much better price point than if you pay upon check-in, if that makes
Sure.
sense,
Yes.
you know, or like pay, I don't know, 4 months out
That's
or something.
almost always true with pretty much everything.
Mhm.
You know, you get a better rate. Like I know with a lot of Marriott and Hyatt and all the resorts, yes, there is a different rate for prepay.
Yeah.
Versus pay at the resort or whatever itself. So yeah, that's a really good point. What advice would you have for someone who couldn't book super far in advance? Like they want to go somewhere in May of this year.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, work with a travel advisor. Yeah. And I think really have a strong budget and a flexible budget, not one that, you know, how do I say this? Like something that's pretty reasonable and you're willing
Yeah.
to go a little bit above it and not make it so tight, I guess. Because I
Yeah.
feel like I keep encountering that of like, oh, I don't want to go over, you know, I'm just giving an arbitrary number of 7,000. I don't want to go a penny over 7,000. Well, I can't promise that I'm not going to push you over 7,000 because of supply and demand again. And there might be something that I recommend that's closer to 8, you know, that is what you're asking
Yes.
for.
Yes, because we, you know, whatever we're specializing in, it's what we know really, really well. So maybe we know that, sure, this hotel fits in that $7,000 range, but this one that's $7,500 total is a million times nicer, has more amenities. Maybe it doesn't have a resort fee, which could cost
Right.
you less overall.
Overall,
And I
absolutely.
think that's something really important, is that people just look at that first number. But a lot of times you say somewhere a little higher end, first of all, maybe there's more availability because less people
Right.
are booking it. And then also maybe there's not a resort fee, maybe parking is less. I mean, there's all these different factors that if you're
Mhm.
not an expert in this destination or whatever, you're not going to know those things.
Right. Right.
You're not going to know. And so it's hard when someone says, okay, this is my budget. And I understand having a budget. I get that. But
I
it's
do
hard when
too.
someone says this, you know, it's hard when someone says, okay, $5,000 and not a penny more, because it's like, well, maybe you can't even do this for $5,000.
Right.
Especially during those days. You either need to have a flexible budget or you need to have flexible timeline or flexible amount of time that you're staying, like
Right.
2 weeks. And whatever your budget is going to cut it. Maybe you have to go for one, because that's what your budget allows, unless you're waiting for a week. Going back.
Right. No, I mean, that's a really great point, because I'm thinking back to that $1,300 Mexico trip. Like they wanted to go for 6 nights. And I was like, no, unless you're going to spend, you know, I don't know, $2,000 plus to do 6 nights there.
Mhm.
But I got it. If they spent instead 4 nights, then it was down to $1,300. So it's like, you have
Which
to.
is still an amazing deal.
Right.
Still a really good deal.
But I think that's what it is, like lowering your expectations. That's my biggest tip. And then
Yeah.
buying
Oh,
your
for sure.
Yeah, totally. And then buying your, like you said, there's another one like Travelzoo. I think it's another like flight watcher, whatever, where you can buy your tickets based on those dates. So if you want to travel in May, be flexible with your dates, purchase your airline tickets before you reach out to us. And then we can build around your flights.
Or you can even go in Google Flights if you say you're going to fly from San Diego to Maui, whatever, June 16th to 23rd. I'm just making things up. So you're going to do that. You can go into Google Flights and put San Diego to Maui, those dates, and then you can watch the prices. So Google will send you an alert if the price drops. And so, or if it goes up. So that's another thing, but what I like about Google Flights, and obviously I have no affiliation with them at all.
Right.
But what I like about Google Flights is that it'll tell you at the bottom if it's like low for that, if it's like a low rate or medium or high or whatever. So maybe if it's a little bit on the higher side and it's further out, if you're close, like good luck. But if it's further out, you can watch it. And if it goes down, that's when you snag your flights.
Right.
Because for travel advisors, it's a lot harder for us to do that. I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying it's a lot. It makes it a lot easier for us to focus on the
land portion. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If you can either have those flights or know the flights that you want.
Right.
And sometimes I do help people with flights only. I charge a fee for that. Because
it's a big pain in the butt.
It's a pain and we don't make any money off of it.
Nah.
But if you kind of have that idea, that can make it a lot easier. Because if you come to us and you have your dates for sure, that makes our job a lot easier. Like, okay, what is the best deal that we can get for you within these particular days?
Right. Sorry, I hear little people upstairs too. No, but I totally agree. I feel like that is the big thing and something I kind of thinking about walking away from too, is like giving the flight portion to my clients, because like, while it's an important part of your vacation, it's one that I feel like you have so many resources available to you, like Scott's Cheap Flights, Hopper, now Skyscanner, Google Flights, like all of
the things
that, like, before you even come to me, you could have that idea ready with your flights at least, and then I can make the magic in the land portion, because it's easy for me to schedule your hotel and your transfers and your rental car, whatever, all around the dates of your flights,
For sure. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest tip, is booking your own flights and then reaching out to me. If
No,
you're trying to go in May.
But another thing that people might not even consider at all is a lot of people will come to me and say, okay, we have all these points. Can we use them to book with you?
Right.
Because unfortunately, and maybe someday that will be a thing that you can do, because there's no reason not to. But as of right now, if you have all these Chase points or whatever, we can't help you.
Can't do anything.
So either we're going to charge you a consultation fee, or we're just not going to be able to work with you, because as much as we love what we do, we need an income.
Yeah.
So
we can't work for free.
We can't work for free. So, but one way around that is, like I was saying, we don't earn a commission off flights. We can book flights, but doesn't mean we have to. But if you have credit card points, if you have miles, you have whatever, you can use those for your flight part of it, which might actually offset some of your budget.
Right.
And then, bring the land portion of it to a travel advisor. So that's just another thought, because yes, while you can't use your points to book properties with us, you could use it for your own flights,
right?
And come to us for the land portion. So that's
but you can still earn points.
You can still earn points at hotels. And I have people ask me all the time, like, oh, if I use my credit card, will I earn points? And it's like, yeah, this has nothing to do with like, that's a credit card issue, not a
travel agent issue.
Yeah, that's a credit card thing. No, you're still gonna earn your points. And I mean, when you're dropping money on a big vacation, that's a lot of points.
Yeah, it's truly.
That's a whole bunch.
That's so true. That's a really good point. Like, use your points for
Mhm.
flights at least. And
Because a
then,
lot of people have them. So use them on the flight portion, and then you can still work with us, still have all the benefits.
Mhm.
Maybe someday we'll do a video about that. Because I feel like I feel like it would be really good to have two of us talking about that, because I feel like we have different strengths in what we do. And I think it would maybe be good to do a video about that. But you could still have that, the advantage of working with a travel advisor who knows your situation or your destination or whatever, but you can use your points to offset your,
your vacation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely something you can do. Booking in advance, I think, is really important. Lowering your expectation.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it just feels like I know we've been trapped, like all of us have been trapped in our houses for like the last 2 years, or like, very minimal. Like, I mean, a lot of us have traveled, like, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like there's
More
just
open
this
now.
idea.
So I know
Right.
what you're saying. You have way more options now than you did.
Right.
You
And
were very limited.
Yeah, to do what? Yeah, we were.
Go to Disney by yourself.
Yeah.
That was
Because like
amazing.
I'm not bringing at the time he was only 2. It's like I'm not bringing my
Mhm.
2-year-old into the parks, like with all
And
these
a lot of
people.
people didn't, and that was
Yeah.
why it was so cheap back then. But it's just
Exactly.
not. It's not.
It's not now. It's
It's
not.
not.
And that's the thing. It's like really thinking about like what is important to you and like how do you want to go about traveling? And if you're thinking, I'm gonna try to do this as cheaply as possible, like is that worth your time and money then?
Yeah. I think you're right, because it's, you're going to spend so much traveling no matter what.
Yeah.
Is it not worth it if you're able to spend a little more to make it a better experience? Because cheap isn't good and good isn't cheap, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's just not. So I think that's really important to remember. The cheapest vacation possible is probably not a good one.
Right. I mean, like, I keep talking about this because they're like the top of my mind right now, but like some people, they also see like the sticker shock of like, oh my God.
Okay. I think it froze, but I think it's good now.
Okay. I see you. You're moving.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Start over, because I think it cut out.
Okay. Shoot. Well, I was just saying, I think that I bring up this client over and over because of like, they're top of my mind right now. But so for example, they wanted to do the Mexico trip for $1,300. And then later they told me that, no, we're just going to do a road trip around here. And I said, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to, chase clients, but I thought about my own personal road trip that I did recently to Tucson, and my hotel at the Waldorf Astoria in Tucson was like, not the Waldorf. Oh my God. The Westin was still $1,300 for the whole week, like 5 days. Right. And then I still had 2 hotels that I had to pay for that were $150 plus the price of gas, plus the price of food. And when I added that all up, not one lump sum, but different components for my trip, it still ended up being $2,700. Like, so you're not saving money by doing a road trip. You know what I mean? Like, it's still going to be that amount of money that I quoted you. It's just going to be in different charges rather than one lump charge.
I think when you're looking at your hotels or your whatever you're doing, you're not thinking about gas.
Right. Or food even,
Or food. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
just filled up, I have a small SUV, and I just put $50 in gas in it yesterday. And I was like, that was fast.
Yeah. I know.
My husband's truck is like over 100.
Yeah. And it shuts off, right? Like you're filling his truck up and it's like, well, $75, shut it off. Like, oh my God, now I have to do this again.
Can't do anymore.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah.
Another thing, and I think this is kind of on the same subject, but just keeping in mind that with supply and demand being what it is, things sell out earlier. And I mean, everything. So, good direct flights
sell out totally fast.
And then maybe they'll add more, but maybe they don't. So you might have to do something that has a 4-hour layover, and that's no fun, because then that's 4 hours of your vacation just so.
True.
But what I'm particularly thinking about, because again, I book a lot of Hawaii excursions in Hawaii, are selling out months in advance. A lot of things like snorkel trips, luau's, things like that. So while there may be the element of sticker shock making you want to put off additional purchases like that, like activities and things, and this could be anywhere, it doesn't necessarily have to be Hawaii, but I would say don't let that keep you from booking those things, because otherwise you may miss out on them entirely.
Yeah.
So I don't, there's not really any way around that, but if you want to do some of those things and you don't grab it immediately,
It's gonna be gone.
Gonna be gone. It might not be something you can even do.
Right. Or
And
something.
No, go ahead.
Or something like, I think about Universal, because we talk about Universal a lot, but like, I had another client that said specifically that she wanted to have a separate sleeping space for her and her kids. And it was like,
Oh,
well, we should have booked like 6 months ago. Because now all the separate sleeping spaces are gone and we're left with the value hotels, but there's nothing wrong. I do like Universal's value resorts, but those are like selling super quickly too. There's only very minimal rooms for April for a separate sleeping space, you know?
And honestly, just on the Universal subject, the ultra value resorts at Universal have that separate sleeping area, and it's a lot less expensive. But I've stayed in one of those rooms for free. Universal let me stay there for free. Check it out. And I won't stay in it again, even though it's so much cheaper, because there's a huge level of inconvenience. And when you're traveling with kids, especially, and I book some families, not a lot, but when you're traveling with children, that's a huge factor. I mean, is it not worth spending a little more for that convenience? Because you can't walk.
No,
you know, when you're talking,
it's like a 15-minute drive, right? Or more.
From Dockside and Surfside. Yeah, it's probably 10 minutes. I mean, it's not far, and you could walk. I wouldn't, not with kids, not with kids.
No.
And
not with my kids.
Like always a really long line. Now, I have an annual pass, so I have free parking on my annual pass. That is intentional. Not everyone has that. You're not going to want to drive and pay $26 a day to park. You might as well just
pay for parking at your hotel too.
And to pay parking at your hotel. You might as well just stay at one of the ones that's closer. But yes, it's an expectation thing. Again, do you want to have a separate sleeping area, or do you like a 2-bedroom is going to be way more than a king and a sofa bed if you have one or two, small children. It's just going to be a budget killer, and you have to think about how often are you going to spend in that room.
Right.
So, because if you're a honeymoon couple, maybe you are going to have like dinner and wine on your balcony or whatever. But if you're a family, I mean, you're probably going to be outgoing more often, or maybe you'll be down at the pool or
exactly. Maybe just there for naps. Like I know that. So me and my kids travel is like,
kids take, my kids are older. I'm like, oh,
that's true.
You take naps. I forgot about that.
My youngest one does still, but the older one, he's
all quit napping at 2.
Oh, I'm so thankful that my 4-year-old still takes naps. It's not always, but like if we were going to Universal, like I know we'd have to go back to the hotel to take a nap. Like that's not going to work for us, unless you want to see a screaming toddler in a theme park. And I really don't want to be that family. Like,
but it's okay to go home because there's others. You're all
having a good company, but I would rather be back in my hotel room where he can go to sleep.
I have carried a screaming toddler from the back of a theme park to the front of a theme park, screaming the whole way. How people thought that we weren't kidnapping her. I honestly was kind of bothered that no one thought that. Because it was just screaming the whole way out. So that has been me.
Oh my gosh.
I have
that's tough.
Not recently.
Yeah. Well, no, her kids are a little bit, your middle one's the same age as my oldest, but yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It wasn't like
our youngest
or anything.
Yeah.
I can't carry her anymore.
She's too big. She's probably taller than me.
Oh no, she's small for 10.
Okay.
She's not big. But yeah. Still not going to carry her through a theme park. Fortunately, we don't have to.
I know, like just go. Can you just use your legs and walk, please?
But yeah, I think, and that's important too, just booking ahead of time so that if you want to have that extra space, because I understand how nice it is having that.
Right.
Like you're gonna have to pay more for it, or you have to do it in advance. It's just figuring out your priorities. I think, what do you need, and hopefully, if something is a must, then your budget's gonna have to be flexible in a lot of
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I totally agree with that.
I mean, it's crazy because I'll have people come to me with $10,000 budgets, and I'm like, I know $10,000 is a lot of money. Like I know that, but for what you're wanting, I don't think it's enough.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Are you joking?" I'm like, "I wish I was."
No, I'm not
I wish
joking.
that I was joking,
Yeah.
but I'm not, because easily a lot of these nicer resorts are $1,000 a night, and maybe that doesn't even get you an ocean view.
Right. Yeah. It's like garden view.
And garden can mean anything.
Yeah. Great. So true.
Because I got a garden view room at Portofino Bay in Universal, and it was literally, it would have been a pool view room, but there was a tree obstructing.
Oh.
I called that a garden. So when you hear garden view and you think of beautiful gardens and butterflies, just know it's probably just
foliage.
a tree blocking the parking lot. I don't know who knew. Like, good enough. Tree, garden. We can call it that.
But it can also mean parking lot, but they don't say that.
As long as there's a flower or something out there.
So true.
Some sort of living plant. It's a garden.
It's a garden view. So
yeah, I think that's another important point. And obviously it depends on where you're going, because if you're going to Orlando, ocean view is not an issue.
Right.
But Mexico, the Caribbean, Hawaii, you want an ocean view, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, you are.
Probably over $100 a night difference from your standard. Some
view
hotels
room
are nice and not liars and call it standard view or resort view, but some try to sound nicer and call it a garden view, and it doesn't mean you're looking at a garden.
No.
Probably not.
Even, another fair point about that too is like, I just booked a Nickelodeon hotel. I think there's only a handful of them, but the price of a swim up pool room is different also than the price of like the standard room,
way more.
Yeah. A lot more. Yeah.
A lot of times, well, in my experience, swim ups are generally more than ocean views, even if they are still an ocean view, they're going to be on the ground floor, because not many places have high level swim up rooms. Some
do.
Pools.
Yeah.
There's some sandals with like private crazy stuff, but generally it's going to be on the main floor. And so you're not going to have as much of a view because you're on floor 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're going to pay more for the amenity of a private pool.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which I was like,
yeah, way more. It's often like one of the higher tiers for a room. And people are like, oh, but I thought it would be less than oceanfront. No,
it's more, and oftentimes it's more.
Yeah, I know. And it's a lot of times it's a lot, but I do book a lot of swim up suites depending on where we're going. But
right. And I mean, obviously it's going to be more economical in Cancun than it would be in Maui and Lahaina.
There aren't even a lot of places with swim up suites at the resorts in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I think they're just like, we charge enough for what we have.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's going to be more economical at, a resort in Cancun than maybe Sandals in
Barbados or something.
Or whatever. Yeah, Barbados or whatever. Yeah, it's going to be better. And then whenever you're looking at those destinations, don't forget, if it's not a super popular destination, you pay more for those flights just because there aren't many of them. And again, it's supply and demand. So it's going to be a lot cheaper to Cancun. And it also depends on where you are.
Right.
And if you're flying from, just say, Los Angeles to Cancun, it's going to be more than if you're flying from Dallas. But if you go to, Cabo from Los Angeles, it's going to be
it's way cheaper. Right. Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You might want to think about that if you're trying to save money, like what popular destination is easily accessible from my airport, because at least at that point, maybe you can't do anything about the prices of your stay or your rental cars if you need one or any of that, but maybe you can go somewhere closer. Well, here's another example. I had an inquiry last night for a honeymoon couple wanting to go to Key West, but they're from the West Coast. And I priced that out. That sounds amazing. Cheaper to go to Hawaii.
Oh,
not even.
well, yeah, because they're flying from the West Coast.
Yes, because they're flying from the West Coast. And so
Yeah.
they're more. And then I don't know why people think of Florida as being inexpensive, which it can be, but it isn't necessarily not anywhere you'd want to stay. Like Orlando is cheap. It's cheap to stay in Orlando. Orlando is not near the beach.
No. And I don't know why people think, I get that question a lot. Like, oh, I want to stay somewhere that's near the beach in Orlando. Like Orlando's central Florida, inland, like in the
nicest beach close to Orlando by far is Clearwater Beach. And it's over an hour and a half away, but it's worth it. Don't go to the
Tampa.
don't go to the other coast. It's not as nice. It's nice, but the other side is just nicer.
But it's still an hour drive away. It's not like I'm going to walk out to my beachfront.
Oh, it's still an hour. I'm going to drive an hour and a half and go somewhere a little bit,
right.
A nicer, more expansive beach.
Right.
But so for these particular people, because I just quickly looked at the prices, it would have been less to go to Hawaii and stay in the same kind of quality place just because of their location.
Right. Because they're flying from San Diego. If they're flying from Georgia, it would have been cheaper.
Then Key West would be more economical, but that said, Key West is extremely expensive. So don't think just because it's Florida, it's still an island.
Yeah. A chain of
Key West is an island, but yes, the Keys are a chain of islands. So it's not super easy to get there unless you're flying directly in, or a lot of people like to fly into Miami and do the drive, which is
fine.
And cheaper to fly into Miami.
Oh, true. And that maybe, I don't know, that could be an option too, is like, if you think about it, maybe you fly them in, but they're going to need a rental car regardless in Key West. Like it's not like this is not Guam we're talking about.
For walkable. Yeah. And I think that's another thing is people often think they can forego a rental car, especially for me doing all this Hawaii vacations.
I know it's a fair point because I lived on the island of Oahu for 3 years and I've had people say that, oh, I'll just Uber somewhere. Like, no, Hawaii, Oahu, the island of Oahu takes 4 hours to drive around the whole island. You can't do that.
It's the only island that even has 3 freeways. Well, that, but also the only island where you could even consider going without a car, but I still would.
I wouldn't.
I do not ever recommend not having a car in Hawaii. But the only time I would say, if you're
staying in Waikiki, Honolulu, and you're not leaving,
and you don't care to leave Waikiki, which is ridiculous, but whatever. But if you, it's your vacation.
I know.
But if you're staying in Waikiki and you don't care to stay in Waikiki, you can do a transfer and you'd save some money. But I can't imagine going to Oahu and not exploring the rest of the island.
Right. Because there's so much.
I know you're not going to Uber to like the North Shore.
The North Shore. Yeah. Or like Kaneohe. Like
that will cost you hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Like you're going to go to Kualoa Ranch on an Uber. No, you're not.
I mean, maybe that Uber driver's going to have a good day, but
yeah, they will. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine.
I had someone contact me. This has been a while now. They said, oh, we knew someone who went to Maui and they didn't get a rental car and it was fine. I'm like, okay. I hate it when people come to me with something like that.
Maui's so big too. It's not a small island.
No. And Roadahana, Haleakala, like there's so many things you can't do. I mean, yes, you could do a tour. Haleakala has tours and they're fine, but I would never do a tour of the Roadahana. I would drive it myself for sure.
Especially if you're like susceptible to motion sickness like I am.
That's and I do I've had clients do helicopter tours that were but that's different. That's not the same.
Right. With all those switchbacks.
The airport without a rental car to do the helicopter tour. So I don't, even though cars are really expensive, a lot of places you're going to need one, even if you're staying in Orlando. A lot of times people go into Disney and Universal. I know you don't have to have a car, but you might want to. I mean,
consider it, right? Yeah. Or it's like the Big Island again. Like people think, oh, it's an island. The Big Island is really big.
Big
Like,
Island is huge.
big. Like it takes 2 hours, right? Driving from Kona to Punaluu.
Oh yeah, it's about 2 hours from Kona to Volcanoes National Park, and then
Yeah.
close by.
Right
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
it's over 2 hours. It's
Yeah.
over 2 hours,
And that's just like this part, like
and it's
this
like
part of the island. Like,
yeah, because
not-
you could still go over to Hilo and go all the way up the Hamakua Coast up to Kohala, and
that's another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, and staying on the Big Island and staying in like the Waikoloa Kohala resort area. Why would you do that when there's so much to see?
Exactly. Like Mauna Kea, which is still 2 hours from Kona. Inward towards, the middle of the island.
Like the valleys up in like up on the Kohala coast. I mean, it's just everything on the Big Island is so different. So not having a car. So you just have to look at your priorities. What do you want to do?
Do you just want to stay in Kona the whole time? Which you can, absolutely, or just stay in Hilo, I guess, or just stay in Waipio Valley. But like that's all you're gonna do then, because there's no trouble. Like unfortunately, with the Big Island, there's no public transportation either. So
you're just there. That's it.
There's the bus on Oahu, but I don't know. You're living by the schedule.
I also tell people, I think it's a little bit better to walk because Honolulu is a city. So that's something to think about. But on the other islands, even things like Uber or Lyft aren't super reliable because maybe whoever your Uber driver, someone who normally would drive for Uber is going out because the surf is really good. So they're not going to be available, like that's a real thing. So I think
island time.
Island time. Like if the surf is good luck getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's just important to keep that in mind. It's not like, oh, don't worry, I can just get an Uber to go to dinner. Like maybe not. So there is a company that I like for rental cars though. And I'll put a link for them. I like to do it as a package, but if you're just looking for a rental car because you already have a package, it's called Discount Hawaii Rental Cars. They have really good rates and they rent through all of the major
rental car companies.
Yeah, like Hertz and Alamo and
all those things.
They can have much better deals. It just depends. Sometimes they have really good last minute deals, but don't do that. Don't wait for the last minute, because sometimes you'll go and look for a last minute deal and there's nothing. Like, sorry, 0 cars available.
Like,
It's a gamble that is not worth it.
No, but like definitely don't.
Just don't.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Just, I think that's the big thing is like making sure that you have transportation. Because I had someone, wherever you're going, because I had someone that wanted to go to Miami and we were in the 11th hour of like 2 weeks out and they decided they wanted to get a rental car and there was literally no cars available anywhere in Miami. I was like, I don't know how to help you because
I've had messages for people like that in Hawaii. They're like, oh, we love your blog because I book travel, yes, but I have a blog. Oh, we love your blog. We love your tips. Just decided that maybe we do need a rental car, but there's none available. Can you work your magic and help us? I go, I don't know what kind of magic you think I have. I am not a Disney character. I cannot.
I wish I had a magic wand to do that. Yeah.
And make a rental car appear. I wish I could.
I wish.
I really feel badly for people who were told by someone who went to Hawaii in 1985 that they don't need a rental car. I know. But secure your transportation early. I think that's we've really pushed that point, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Get it. But as far as cost, I think we're both in agreement. Things aren't going to go down. Nothing's going to go down. This is how it is. This is like our new pricing normal.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And
but so if you book in advance, then the prices aren't going to be as
book in advance.
Much. Yeah.
Be flexible. Try to be flexible with your budget. Lower your expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're booking last minute, definitely lower your expectations because you're either going to spend more or you're going to be somewhere that's less than what you want. And I think we really talked about the fact that it's just so important to make sure you're getting what you want instead of staying somewhere that's really sketchy.
And I have done that on Oahu. Oh
You were
my
telling me
goodness.
about that. I've never
Yes.
stayed. If something is cheap, there's probably a reason why.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I wish that I had just been like, I'm just going to use, because we're in the military. So like, we were just moving to Oahu, and we have a limit of like how much we can spend for hotels that the military will reimburse us for. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. This is like super cheap. I'll be like, kind to the military. And then I was like, no, I should have done that $300 room a night. Like, why did I not do that?
It is like $100.
It was super cheap it was 150, I think, or maybe 200.
You know what? I
was
saw
just
that
like,
the other
"Ugh."
day though, because you told me about that place, and I saw it the other day, and it's 200 now.
Oh,
So either
I wouldn't stay there.
that's just how you know how expensive Hawaii is. If someplace that's really questionable is $200 a night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because
That's
the average
crazy.
hotel in Hawaii is about $300 a night.
Yeah,
So you're not getting the Four Seasons for $300 a night.
No.
You're not getting a Sheraton. You're not getting a Westin. You're not getting a Hyatt Regency. You're
No.
getting like a pretty basic room.
Oh, Garrick.
Oh, Garrick. All right. Well, that's okay. We needed to wrap it up anyway. But do you have any other things, any other thoughts about the price of travel? Because I think we covered everything.
I think honestly we did, because we were like really hammering home that like it's lower your expectations, plan early, secure your rentals. And I really think, again, like the flight thing, maybe be super duper duper flexible with your flights.
We weren't even planning to talk about that, but I think
No.
that's really it just kind of happened, and that's good. But there was one other thing. Oh, just if you can be that flexible with your budget, I think that matters a lot, because maybe if you set a hard number, that may not be the best idea if you're able to spend more. And I understand that not everybody is, but if you're able to spend more, then you may be able to get something much nicer for a couple $100 more.
Right. Or be willing to, if the budget is so strict, then being willing to cut down your travel days, because that's
yes. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, okay, well, we can't do 10 days for this, but maybe we could do 8.
Yeah.
Would you rather have 8 like amazing days, or 10 days at a place that you
mediocre,
that wasn't what was in your your perfect dream,
right,
or whatever? So yeah, I think that's a really, really great point. And another thing, as far as honeymoons, you can always set up a fund.
Right. Yeah.
That's becoming more of a thing now. And I know there are even websites for it. I don't know what they are, but I know that where people can, because realistically, people are getting married older now, and a lot of them already have stuff, maybe 2 households worth of stuff.
Right.
Right. And so you don't need towels or a coffee pot or a toaster. Maybe you need someone to give you money for your honeymoon. So that's just that's an idea. I mean, that won't work for everything. You can't just start a GoFundMe for your your Disney vacation. I guess you could.
No, I mean, you could. You totally could.
I mean, feel free to do whatever you got to do.
I'm not going to judge you.
Yeah, me either. But that's just another idea, is doing some sort of fund for your honeymoon. If it's, because obviously, in most cases, you're going to get married months ahead of time anyway. So there's time.
But I love that, because I also, like for me personally, I have a vacation fund. So I take a little bit of my money from my travel business each month out, and I put it into my vacation fund, so that I have money to, like, not necessarily charge on a credit card, but to have, a budget. Like that's how I paid for my Tucson trip, was like from my vacation fund money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I've always had a vacation fund. I've always had even, years ago, when there was very little to put in it, we always had a vacation fund.
And the really nice thing too is if you can open up a high yield, I think, savings account, then that helps build up your vacation fund. So you can have, at least, like, if that was your deposit, you put that money down and then pay the rest on a credit card or whatever.
This is neither me or you, and I know that, but some people aren't as good with money. And so having that money set aside means that they're not going to, because there are people that just, if it's in their checking account or whatever, like they might spend it, because it's that's just how some people are. But if you know that that's you, maybe even if it's not a huge percentage, on your savings account, at least it's set aside to where, like, that is your vacation fund, and that's where it's going to live. That way it stays in your vacation fund, not your Friday night pizza fund or whatever.
So true. There you go. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that covers just about everything.
I think so too. I think so
All right.
too.
Well, I will leave under this video, I'll leave our links for everything we talked about if I can remember. And then also to your website and Instagram and whatever other social you want me to share. And then I'll share my website and Instagram as well.
Perfect. I'm only on YouTube and Instagram. So, I mean, did I say YouTube?
You did?
Facebook. I'm going to make one soon.
YouTube soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Maybe
It's
somebody
great.
will be watching this from your YouTube and they'll be like, what?
She has a YouTube channel. I know.
You have one. No, I only have Instagram also. I mean, I have a Facebook, but I don't use it.
Yeah.
Message me on there. I won't see it.
I know. What
Don't
can you
message
do?
me on Instagram either. Use my contact form.
Yeah. I know. Here it is.
I get really weird messages on Instagram, so I'm not likely to open it.
Like, is it in my request box? Oh, ooh, I don't know.
If something's in my request box, there's a good chance I don't open it.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell you about my last message in my request box.
Oh gosh.
It's not on here.
Yeah. I know. We'll be messaging each other.
Yeah. Messaging you now. But all right, so we'll wrap it up and we'll add all that stuff. And then hopefully this has been a little bit eye-opening about current travel pricing. And
Right.
yeah, if anybody has any questions, we'll respond to the comments. So all right, I will see you later then.
Okay.
I'll be messaging you.
Perfect.
All right, bye.
Bye.